Backlash. 2025 event was already anticipated as a night of chaos and competition, but it also delivered something far more symbolic and potentially game-changing: the official initiation of Jeff Cobb into the bloodline. This wasn't just a signing. This was a cultural event, a carefully orchestrated ceremony that blurred the lines between wrestling spectacle and sacred tradition, redefining the power dynamics in WWE's most dominant faction. With Roman Reigns still off television and Solo Sikoa ascending in power alongside the ever-intimidating Jacob Fatu, the group known for its family ties and Samoan heritage has now formally expanded its borders. They've brought in not just a brute, but a battle-tested Olympian who embodies a new era of bloodline dominance. Backstage at Backlash, a sacred setting for a sacred ceremony. The setting for this moment wasn't the usual sterile locker room. Instead, WWE transformed a backstage area into what resembled an ancient Samoan ceremonial chamber. The lighting was dim, with flickering torches casting long, wavering shadows across the walls. The floor was adorned with authentic tapa, bark cloths, symbolic mats used in Pacific Islander rituals to represent heritage and community. Coconut shells, bowls of volcanic black salt, and palm fronds accentuated the space, each carrying cultural weight far deeper than simple decoration. There was an almost reverent hush as Rikishi, the legendary WWE Hall of Famer and the newly appointed wise man of this post-Roman bloodline, stood at the center of the ceremonial ring. No longer a comedic figure from the Attitude Era, Rikishi now exuded the quiet authority of a tribal elder. Draped in traditional siapo, Samoan ceremonial fabric, he channeled the energy of centuries of Polynesian ancestry and warfare, presiding over this modern-day initiation with the seriousness of a coronation. Jeff Cobb, from Olympian to enforcer. Standing opposite Rikishi was Jeff Cobb, a man known to wrestling fans worldwide as one of the sport's most physically dominant and technically gifted athletes. At 285 pounds, Cobb is built like a tank, but moves like a panther. A former Olympian who represented Guam in freestyle wrestling at the 2004 Athens Games, Cobb has since made a name for himself in promotions like NJPW, Ring of Honor, and Lucha Underground. Although he does not carry bloodline ties through his paternal family, Cobb is connected to the Samoan culture through his wife, herself a respected cultural advisor within the Samoan community. This nuance matters, especially to a faction like the Bloodline, which prides itself on lineage and loyalty. That familial extension was enough for Rikishi to extend an invitation Cobb clearly did not take lightly. A ceremony steeped in symbolism and power. The ritual began with Rikishi stepping forward, holding a small carved bowl filled with coconut water. This wasn't merely refreshment. In traditional Samoan rites, coconut water is a symbol of purity and rebirth. Rikishi poured it slowly over Cobb's hands as a symbolic cleansing, a preparation for the responsibilities he was about to inherit. The liquid trickled down his knuckles like raindrops over stone, baptizing him into the fold of something ancient and powerful. "You carry our weight now," Rikishi intoned, his voice deep and echoing through the enclosed space. The declaration was both a blessing and a challenge, issued not just from Rikishi himself, but on behalf of a dynasty that has produced icons like Roman Reigns, the Usos, and The Rock. Then came the moment that would give any longtime wrestling fan chills. Rikishi reached into a handcrafted wooden box and withdrew a pendant, a gleaming, obsidian-carved emblem of the bloodline. With both hands, he fastened the pendant around Cobb's neck. The gesture transformed Cobb from outsider to family, from visitor to warrior. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, the warrior circle seals the pact. Flanking the ceremony were Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, two of the most dangerous men currently active in WWE. Their presence was as much spiritual as it was protective. As the warrior circle, they stood motionless, embodying strength, intensity, and the unspoken expectation of loyalty. Every glance from them was a silent warning: betray us and you betray the family. Then in a primal act of brotherhood, Solo Sikoa stepped forward. Without a word, he spit into his palm and extended it toward Cobb. This wasn't staged aggression. It was a visceral homage to old world bonds, a custom practiced among warriors where trust is sealed not with ink or words, but with a shared gesture of unfiltered commitment. Without flinching, Cobb did the same. Their palms met with a loud slap, echoing like a war drum. Jacob Fatu, known for his barely restrained fury in the ring, growled his approval, a deep, animalistic sound that sent a shiver down the spines of everyone in earshot. The pact was complete. Jeff Cobb had not just been accepted into the bloodline, he had been absorbed into it. A voice from the shadows. Roman Reigns, still watching. As if the moment needed further gravity, a screen flickered on. From a remote location, Roman Reigns, the long-absent tribal chief, appeared. Though his physical presence was missing, his authority was not. His voice crackled through the monitor like the voice of a god addressing his loyal subjects. "Prove it tonight," Reigns said. The words were short, ominous, and final. With that directive, Cobb's initiation transitioned into a test. Why Jeff Cobb? Bloodline strategy behind the recruitment. This wasn't just a ceremonial addition to the faction. Behind the spiritual grandeur lies the Bloodline's calculated strategy. Sources within WWE suggest that Rikishi and Solo Sikoa have been restructuring the faction in Roman's absence. Not just to fill a leadership void, but to adapt to new threats emerging across SmackDown and Raw. Target number 1. LA Knight. LA Knight's meteoric rise in WWE has been fueled not only by his in-ring ability, but by his charisma and quick wit on the mic. Management reportedly sees Knight as a threat to the Bloodline's dominance, particularly because his verbal assaults weaken their aura of intimidation. Jeff Cobb, while not a loudmouth, is known for his sharp intelligence and stoic presence, someone who, when he speaks, silences rooms. Cobb's recruitment is a direct counter-strategy. He may not match Knight word for word, but his intimidating silence and methodical dismantling of opponents may very well neutralize the impact of Knight's bravado. Target number 2, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre represents the other threat, brute power and championship ambition. At 6 feet 5 inches and 265 pounds, McIntyre has been a thorn in the Bloodline's side ever since Reigns first rose to dominance in 2020. But what few realize is that McIntyre's background in amateur wrestling mirrors Cobb's own. In fact, both men have similar mat-based roots, although Cobb brings a world-class Olympic pedigree to the fight. Their eventual clash isn't just expected, it's inevitable. A cultural merger behind the ceremony's design. Interestingly, insiders revealed that the initiation ceremony was not created solely by WWE's creative team. Cobb's wife, who is a high-ranking Samoan cultural advisor, reportedly collaborated with Rikishi to ensure every element, down to the pendant, the water, and the verbal blessings, respected Samoan traditions. This wasn't just a WWE segment, one backstage source said. It was a real cultural merger. This had meaning. Jeff Cobb wasn't acting. He was honoring. By anchoring the Bloodline's evolution in legitimate culture, WWE continues to blur the lines between fiction and reality, making its most dominant faction not just entertaining, but spiritually resonant. Proving ground. Cobb's destruction of enhancement talent. Immediately following the ceremony, Cobb stepped into the ring, not for a promo or a tease, but for action. He faced 3 enhancement talents in a handicap match designed to test his endurance, physicality, and psychology. The result was a near ritualistic slaughter. Cobb dismantled all 3 men in under 5 minutes. He showcased suplexes that defied gravity, submission holds with Olympic-level precision, and strikes that echoed through the arena. The match wasn't a showcase, it was a message. To the locker room, to the fans, to the tribal chief. Cobb doesn't just hit hard, he understands the assignment. Loyalty, strength, strategy. Jeff Cobb. The Bloodline's new era. Personified, what Jeff Cobb represents is not merely another strongman in the Bloodline's ranks. He is the bridge between eras, a man with enough athletic credibility to earn respect, enough raw power to instill fear, and enough cultural awareness to walk the line between tradition and evolution. With Jacob Fatu embodying chaos and Solo Sikoa standing in as the enforcer turned leader, Cobb fits into a triangle of terror that makes the new bloodline potentially more dangerous than ever before, even without Roman Reigns at the helm. What's next? Cobb's first official match as Bloodline Enforcer. With the ceremonial induction complete, eyes now turn to Cobb's first official feud. The speculation is rampant. Will he target LA Knight directly? Is a collision course with Drew McIntyre already in motion? Could we even see internal strife? Perhaps Jacob Fatu or Solo Sikoa testing the loyalty of this outsider turned insider?